Hello and welcome to the Big 12 Mafia Holy Rivals Show. I'm your host, Nathan Bomber Brown. With me is my partner in crime. That would be the Wild Ute. How you doing, Ute?
What's up? Happy Friday, y'all. How you guys doing?
Good.
Good.
Got some good news.
How's everybody out there doing too?
It sounds to me like they're doing good.
Great.
I'm not feeling great today. I had to go in early for work, and I just have had a bad day. So I'm going to stick around enough for the picks, and then I'm going to leave the news to you guys afterwards. There's a lot going on. Connor Stallions updates. I don't know if there's anything else coming out of Washington State, Oregon State that Immaculate can report on, but we'll talk about that in the news regardless. Moen, you or Immaculate want to say anything before we get started here?
No, let's get to the picks. Let's get you in bed. Get you feeling better.
Well,
I do think that we found our offensive coordinator, by the way.
Oh, you did?
Ooh.
It was finally settled? Okay.
Yeah,
Excellent.
we're gonna take the offensive coordinator from Colorado.
Oh, okay.
Really?
Well, that'll be
I mean-
interesting.
I'm just saying that.
Oh, you don't know.
Oh, I thought that was
Oh,
legitimate.
okay. I thought it was serious.
No, I'm
He's having
calling
fun
it right
with
now.
us.
I'm calling my shot. We're gonna go grab after Mr. Lewis over there.
Well, if you're new to the show, please subscribe. Turn on your notifications for Twitter and for YouTube. It'll keep you up to date on all the shows and all the tweets, the news and information we put out on a day-to-day basis. As well as you can join the show as a paying member. Go to the Big 12 Mafia page on YouTube, scroll down to the middle of the page, and it says join. Click that join button, and there's 3 options. You can join the show and become a paying member. Right out of the gate, Sooner Lemon is giving us a $5 super chat saying, hello, I'm here on time for once. Boomer Sooner.
Boomer.
It's good to see you, Sooner Lemon. I had hoped today I was going to, I had a plan to do, we were going to do Bedlam. I was going to have everybody on for Bedlam. And besides having to go into work and then not feeling good, I just couldn't pull it off. So I just want to make sure everybody knows I did try to do that. I had it scheduled. My body quit working for me. Before we get to picks, let's just get our first shout outs here. Casting for Chrome is in the house. Glenn Lumen is in the house from the Philippines. Daniel Gygax is here. Glenn says, good morning from the Philippines. Exciting news if talking about Jake Retzlaff is starting for BYU. I'm not sure how bad the injury is for Keaton Slovis, but Jake is going to start tomorrow. Let's see here. P.S. Doff is here. Good to see you. OPD Don and Sooner Lemon are here. Thanks again for that super chat, Sooner Lemon. We really appreciate it. And then Immaculate, Moen, and the Wild Ute. So before I bring up the schedule for the games going this weekend, anybody want to get anything off the top of their head really quick?
We better jump into this Michigan conversation more and more. We keep going down the vortex on this, learning more information. Connor
Right.
Stallions has been, advanced scouting and person scouting in more games than anticipated. Obviously, Purdue has all that information, and it's really time just to have a call out that there needs to be some justice here. I mean, it's pretty obvious what's happening. This isn't fake news. And so I think that we really need to open up a conversation about hey, there really needs to be some action taken by the Big Ten and college football. And I'm talking no Big Ten championship game, no berth in a college football playoff, because for the last few years, I mean, that's really the results. I mean, they're questionable. They're asterisk, right? With all the results that I've seen over the last few years, and in the recruiting classes they've been getting, all the talent. It's it seems like it's just fluffed up fake stuff right now because of the cheating that's been going on. So I want to see something here.
That's very, very good. Let me really quick, before we jump into the picks, did you ever get your login to work to the client? The StreamYard client?
I'll search for it. I didn't actually. So
okay.
you guys do the picks, and I'll do some searching.
Let me see if I can, because I know I've shared it with you. If you can't find it, let me know, and that we need to get you logged in there. All right, let's jump into the picks, and obviously a ton of news we're going to do after the picks. If you're new to the channel and you want to make picks with us, just make your picks and then DM me those picks tonight and next week when we do the sort of revisit of the weekend's games, I will announce your picks. And we'll try to get as many people involved as possible. We've had a few. Jet last week was doing it with us, last 2 weeks actually. And if more of you guys want to do that, absolutely not a problem. I'm happy to manage that. In the meantime, let's just start right in with Bedlam. Oklahoma is given 5.5 at Oklahoma State. We know Oklahoma State has been hot. So what do you think here, Moen?
I like Oklahoma State because of the point spread. I think Oklahoma's going to pull this out with the late field goal, but I like Oklahoma State with that point spread.
All right, very good. How about you, Immaculate?
Whew. I think I'm kind of feeling Oklahoma State on this one.
Okay.
I think I'm going to go take them in their Heisman hopeful running back.
Let's see if Ute, who do you think?
Yeah, I think Oklahoma State takes this game. I've been on this all year long. I thought this preseason that this game, Oklahoma State was not going to let slip by. This is the last time they get their shot at Oklahoma after leaving to the SEC. Are you kidding me? The emotion is going to be nuts. You know, this is like the kind of game that you would imagine. There's like probably like, you know, fights on the field because of just all the emotions going through. Right. Oklahoma State, I think, has a talent-wise, I think they're pretty even. Oklahoma has a little bit more, but since it's at Oklahoma State with this last Bedlam series, I just think Oklahoma State's going to pull it out. So straight up. So give me the Pokes.
All right, and I'm going to take Oklahoma State and the points. Oklahoma may get the win, but I think Oklahoma State's it's going to be like a 3-point game. That's my guess, a 3-point game. So we'll have to see if that's something that ends up being, where we're all wrong, as we've had a few games like that this year. I'll be kind of surprised, but Oklahoma, I picked to win the league, but their loss to Kansas really sort of upsets that. So we'll have to see. But yeah, I'm going to take the Oklahoma State and the points. More Big 12 action. Let's go with Kansas State at Texas. Texas is laying 4 points.
I'm going with K-State in this game. I mean, seriously, like at K-State, I like where they're going right now. They've got some momentum going on. They used to always play Texas tough, but the last couple of times have been challenging. But I think K-State goes down to Austin, and I'm hoping they pull the upset, but I think it's going to be an uber close game, closer than 4 points. And it could be an upset here in a close matchup and stuff. And this would be a massive win for the new Big 12 to send the Longhorns out packing. So give me the Cats.
Wow. Kansas State. I'm going to take Kansas State in the points as well. I think that's what's going to happen. Moen?
Give me Texas. Is that at Texas? I think that's enough for Texas to get it done by a touchdown.
Wow.
Yep. That was a deciding factor for me. It's in Austin. I think Texas is actually getting better. The Oklahoma game, that could go either way, to be honest. I just went with the home team on that. But Texas, I think Texas has this one. Going with Texas.
Interesting. Okay. I wasn't real impressed with Texas last week, even though they beat up on BYU. I was not shocked by their offense. I just thought they were kind of boring, to be honest. But
Kansas State's a good team, but what stands out about them? What makes them? Whereas like Texas has a few things that really stand out. That's kind of where
discipline and grit, I think.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, good team, absolutely.
Coaching, right?
But this is a top game. I mean, you got to come with something that the other team just can't stop. I don't know.
Well, Ewers isn't even playing. He's still out, right?
No, but I mean, they've got their second string guys not bad, and he's behind the best offensive line in college football. So,
I'm just telling you, like based on history, K-State plays Texas historically tough. Wins a ton, right? Like I think this is the final game in the series. I just think that some of these teams are going to want the last parting shot. And I like the fact that K-State's hot right now with Avery Johnson, getting some rep at quarterback and everything. They've got a lot of things going on, a good quarterback play, the discipline. So
If
yeah,
it was like -10, I'd probably go with you guys and go K-State for the points. But this is just 1 touchdown difference, so it's pretty close.
All right, very good. Did I already say my pick? I said Kansas State, right?
Yeah, you guys went K-State.
All right. Notre Dame is laying 3 at Clemson. That's a shocker because Clemson's at home. What do you think about that one, you?
Yeah, I think that Clemson's a better team than their record would show right now. So I think that it makes sense why this would be a close point spread. In this game, though, Notre Dame's battle tested, that I like the Irish in this game, despite this being at Clemson. I mean, Clemson's a tough place to play. It's a big stadium and everything, and the crowd's going to be juiced and all, but I don't know. This Clemson program with Dabo and everything and all the drama surrounding it, the losses piling up, it just seems to be going the wrong direction. And I'm not sure they're going to really be able to pull it up this game. So give me the Irish.
Okay. Moen.
I cannot understand this point spread. Las Vegas knows something, so give me Clemson. Vegas is trying to get all that action on Notre Dame. They know something. I'm taking Clemson at home.
Okay. Immaculate.
Me, I'm going with Hartman. This guy's been at Wake Forest. Clemson has been that team up on high for all of his entire years there, and now he's getting to come back there in his last year with a much better team. I think he comes and has one hell of a game there, and I definitely think Notre Dame wins this.
Right, very good. I'm gonna take Clemson. Yeah. I think Clemson's gonna really have a shot to turn around their season. They're not gonna win the conference, but they're playing for pride now, I think. So that's just my guess. All right, let's go with Arizona State at Utah. I'm gonna take Utah to cover.
You'd better, Bomber. Bomber's going to the football game. We're both going
I'm gonna be
tomorrow
there.
morning. Yeah, we're going to this game. So if Utah doesn't cover, man, come on, guys. I think Utah will. I think that Utah's going to win by 14 points. I think that.
Oh, okay.
Really, that Utah is in a lot of ways kind of like a superior version of Arizona State. They both like the offenses, lackluster, good defenses, good running attacks. Give me Whittingham at home over Dillingham on the road. And I think that's worth 2 touchdowns in itself. Plus, Utes defense rebounds from last week's debacle. So I'm thinking 31-17.
Wow. Okay. That is a healthy score. Immaculate.
This little voice in my head saying Arizona State, but I don't think they're quite there yet. Next year, get them back, Arizona State, but I think this year Whittingham gets it done at home. They need a bounce back and win right here. So, Utah.
Okay, and Moen.
Damn. I'm the same way, Immaculate. I'm looking at that 11. Give me Arizona State.
Okay.
Give me Arizona State. I see Utah winning this by 10.
This might be one for you to catch up on.
The backdoor cover on Arizona State.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know how the Sun Devils are going to score in this football game. That's the thing is they've got this guy Scatterboo. He's a really good player, but the Utes are going to be honing in on him. They've got a good receiver, but I just don't see them putting up many points. I'm not sure how many the Utes are going to put up too. I guess that's the question.
Right.
It's going to be very low scoring, possibly.
Get some garbage time points in there. The backdoor cover.
I think Dillingham's going to pad up and get out there himself and play as well.
Maybe. That's quite possible, actually.
Just for the energy.
Rising, right? Rising is going to be 26 next year.
There's not much difference.
Early 30s.
He's running around that field faster than all the players sometimes. That guy's got a lot of energy.
I just sent you the login. The last one I could find there, Ute.
Cool.
When we're done with the list, you can try it and see if it works. Anyways. Did I give you my score? Yeah, I said Utah, right? Okay. Kansas at Iowa State. Iowa State, basically, it's a field goal. It's the home field advantage.
Yeah, with this one, I think that that's a tough game to pick. KU and Iowa State. I'm I'm taking Iowa State in this football game. I think KU is probably going to have an emotional letdown after the big win.
Yes.
And so give me the Cyclones. I think that they cover in this game close, but 2.5 is just too few. So give me Iowa State.
Okay. Immaculate.
Yep. This is what Iowa State does. Late in the season, teams in the Big 12 that are kind of pushing and having a good season. Iowa State just kind of remind them that they're still there, they still exist, and they kind of derail teams. So I'm going Iowa State at home on this one.
Okay, Moen. Rock Chalk.
Rock Chalk Jayhawk. Give me
All
Kansas.
right. And I'll take Kansas too. I said before I'm not going to pick against them anymore because I always lose. So I'm going to take Kansas as well. And hey, you're going to give me a field goal too. Anyway. BYU at West Virginia 10. I'll go first. It's Jake Retzlaff. If you didn't catch us at the beginning, he's the backup. Keaton Slovis is hurt. West Virginia was amped up to play Slovis because of when he was at Pitt, he pissed them off. So maybe there's a little bit of a letdown because he won't be playing. I am going to take. Oh, I hate to do it. I guess I want to win, so I'm going to say West Virginia.
What do you think, Immaculate?
I know they don't. What do we know about this quarterback?
He was the number one JUCO transfer quarterback from last year. So in all of junior college, he was the number one quarterback going into this season.
And they do not know what. I mean, they don't really know what he's going to do. They're not prepared for him. I've even seen West Virginia folks talking about that. Like, we're not prepared for this guy at all. I mean, I think BYU coming back from that shellacking that with Texas, even though you don't got your quarterback, you've got your team. BYU's a good team. I mean, not great, but they're a good team. I'm going BYU. I think they're still going to – they may not win, but I think they'll keep close. I'm going to go BYU.
Very good. I'm trying a little reverse psychology also. Anyway,
Yeah, I think this game, tough, bringing a new quarterback on the road. Morgantown's far away, tough place to play. West Virginia, I think probably going to take this game by more than 10, probably like 2 touchdowns or like 13 points or something like that. So give me the Mountaineers. That's
okay. Moen.
Take me home, country roads. Give me West Virginia.
Okay. All right.
There it is.
That's easy enough then. Let's go to Washington. It has to lay 3 points for USC. Boy, that's kind of a shocker. It's in Southern Cal. I'm going to take Washington.
This spread makes no sense. This makes no sense at all. Washington, you'd think would be a 6.5 point favorite in this football game. So I can't take USC. I don't know how the defense stops Washington all day long. I mean, Washington's going to put up a 50-burg on them probably. So it's going to be high scoring, high flying. It's going to be a fun game to watch and everything. I hope it goes to 10 overtimes in this game because guess who's lurking next week for Washington? The Utes. I'm telling you, I want this game to be emotional, long, and a big celebration after because they're about to get punked next week. So Washington, it's a little foretelling right there. Okay,
So Washington. Oh, right.
Washington.
Okay, I figured out the login, Ute.
Awesome.
So as soon as we're done here, I'll have you log in again. And in fact, let me give that to you really quick. Well, I already sent it to you. The login is the email address of the text string I just sent. And then I can click your link in to get in. Let's see, Moen.
Yeah, only laying 3. Alex Grinch is still the defensive coordinator at USC. Somebody explain that to me. This spread should be 30. Washington is going to go out there. I know Washington's been playing poorly the last couple weeks, This is the week where they get back on the horse and start slinging that ball around.
Yeah.
Washington big.
I think Penix has something to prove too.
Yeah.
I think he had it. He had that Heisman Trophy in his hand, and then promptly dropped it. So, yeah, I think
Bo
they're gonna
nixed
play
it.
well.
Bo nixed it.
Bo nixed it. There you go. Okay, and then LSU at Alabama. Alabama.
Did you pick
field goal.
Nate? I didn't
Didn't
pick
I?
on that one. I didn't pick
I-
Washington, and neither did you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I took Washington. So
Yeah,
go ahead. I
Washington.
apologize, Immaculate. My fault.
I was just going to say one thing. Reports coming out that Penix and some of the other players have been dealing with flu issues for the past week or two, which would explain some of those results. And if they're gotten over it and they're good to go, I think this is the week that they just come off and blow USC out of the water.
Okay.
It's going to be a boat race down there. So I'm thinking 3 touchdowns at least. And that's on a Caleb Williams offense too. So, yep.
How does USC win this football game? This is a big game this weekend.
I don't know. I have no
What
idea.
does USC need to do to win this football game?
Borrow someone else's defense.
Yeah. That's it. I mean,
They don't have a home field advantage. Like, not really. I mean, they get a crowd there, but it's not like.
I mean,
wild.
it is a 3-point line, so Vegas, thinks that these teams are within a touchdown on a neutral field. So I mean,
think
it's not. It's
I think people
shocking.
bet heavy on Caleb. I think that's all that really is. There's a lot of people who just bet heavy on Caleb because he's talked so highly about.
He's so overrated.
He's really
I don't know
good.
What
But
happened last
but yeah.
year? He was so much better.
what do you have, like a 5-pick game, or wasn't that? Or was that 3 picks?
Yeah, I don't know. It was embarrassing though. Anyway, did everybody pick?
Yeah, we're good on that.
All right. So the last one's LSU at Alabama. Alabama is laying 3, which is basically home field advantage. I'm going to take LSU in this one.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, I'm. LSU. I'm taking LSU. I just think that Daniels at quarterback with his experience, I think he can get a win like this. This would be a monstrous win. It's going to be super close. And yeah, give me the Tigers.
Okay. Immaculate.
I think in every aspect of the game, LSU is a better team. So for Opie and Chad, I'm saying LSU, and this is going to be a bigger win than people think. I think this one could be at least 2 touchdowns big.
I was originally going to pick LSU, but since you all picked it, I am taking Alabama.
Well, that's the easy way to make up games. You're
That's
so far
right.
behind though.
Or lose a game.
You're gonna run out of weeks to catch up, Moen, I think.
That's not true. I'll just create. We got bowl season coming up.
Okay, there you go. We'll do it through bowl season. That works for me. Okay. So I think that's all of them. If you're new to the show and you want to share your picks with us, write those picks down and send them to me in a DM in Twitter, and I will make sure that we talk about them on Tuesday if that's when our next show is, which I think it will be. It'll be Tuesday. You try relogging that page, and I'll send you the new code, and then you can get in. Just let me know after you've relogged again. Okay, let's close this out. I think those picks are really, really good. Let's talk about, get into the news items. Moen, you had something you wanted to start off with tonight.
Sure. I just wanted to break a little news on Michigan, on the Michigan front. You've seen a lot of news coming out that they're very supportive of Jim Harbaugh. They're going to push through this contract extension, et cetera, et cetera. I'm here to tell you that's all bullshit. The regents and the president are not standing behind Jim Harbaugh. The more serious this gets, the more quick they are to push him out the door to try and save the university's image. So I know that a lot of the Wolverine boards are reporting that these regents are on board with Jim and the president's standing with Jim. Couldn't be further from the truth. They are ready to push Jim Harbaugh out the door as soon as it presents itself. They got rid of Connor Stallions today. That's step one. That's an admission of pretty
Mike
much
Vaughn?
that's an admit. Yeah, Connor Stallions got fired.
Oh,
Yeah,
I didn't even see that.
I'm gonna bring
They
this
fired
up
him.
right now. Yeah, Nicole Arbach, not a little while ago, said that he'd been fired, and then followed that up by saying Connor Stallions refused to cooperate with any investigations. So, yeah,
Right.
Wow.
Totally innocent. That's something an innocent person does.
Right.
Refuse to cooperate.
exactly.
And a university fires somebody who didn't do anything. All these Michigan fans have been saying all week, well, it's not illegal. They were private citizens. It was illegal.
Nonsense.
It's illegal, guys. And this proves it.
Yeah,
You don't fire guys who didn't do anything illegal.
agreed.
But that's what I wanted to let people know, that I've seen a lot of reports out there. I'm hearing from two very close people to this that they are not going to stand behind Harbaugh. When push comes to shove, they will put the University of Michigan's image and their reputation in front of Jim Harbaugh.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. Very much. All right, guys. I'm actually gonna go. I'm starting to see flashes.
Yep.
You was able to get logged in.
Hey, I
so
got
you'll
logged
be able
in.
to-
We're set
Nice.
to go. Let's continue. Yeah.
And if you want to change the password to that, Ute, so that we, don't have to try to reset again, that would be fine too. Just let me know what you put it to.
Okay.
Other than that, guys, love all three of you. Thank you very much for being here. Sorry, I'm
Feel
out
better.
the dog out early.
Yeah. Hope you're doing all right tonight.
You bet. And good luck to all your teams that are playing this weekend. I want to wish good luck to everybody that's watching. I'm sorry you have to duck out, but you wouldn't want me to stick around anyway. I'm not going to be very fun to pay attention to.
No.
And it just
Heal up
usually-
for tomorrow, Bomber. Heal up.
I'm going to go to bed
Yeah.
early. I'm going to be at Ute's house at 10 in the morning, and then we're going to go down to the ASU Utah game. And if you're there and you're at the Pig Bus, where I believe we're going to head first,
Yep.
right, Ute?
That's right.
If you want to meet me, there's your chance. Hopefully nobody beats me up, but I'm anticipating.
No one's going to
it.
beat you up.
gonna be
Come
fun.
on.
It's
Are you
I
gonna
was
wear
teased it.
red
I was-
or blue gear?
I'm wearing black.
a
Seahawks
blackout.
stuff. Yeah,
Okay.
I gotta just.
Play a little
Yeah,
neutral.
I was told I couldn't wear Seahawks or BYU stuff. So.
Yeah, that might
That's
go
probably
bad.
the safest way to go anyway. Anyway, everybody have a great night, and we'll talk next week. Other than that, guys, appreciate it. We'll talk to you
All
later.
right. See you later, Bomber.
Have a great weekend.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
Yeah, let's discuss this Michigan thing. So, Moan, keep going on this. So, give everybody the latest updates on the Connor Stallion situation, and let's really dive into this and what the penalty should be. I mean, that's what a lot of us are curious about, and really what the extent of this sucker could be, because it seems like we're at the tip of the iceberg. I don't know if you guys saw earlier too. John Williner even alluded to, hey, this might be the tip of the iceberg. There might be a lot more stuff that's coming down. This looks to be massive, but I think it warrants a good conversation. I know we talked about it before, but I want to hear your thoughts.
Right. Well, the worst case scenario for Michigan is loss of institutional control, death penalty. That's the absolute worst outcome. And that is a legitimate possibility the more and more comes out. We have not heard from Central Michigan on who was on their sidelines. That is an employee of Michigan University. If that is Connor Stallions, that is an employee of Michigan University on the sidelines of another school, actively recording signs. That is not some little thing. That is a huge deal. That is gigantic for somebody to try and pull that off, and successfully pull it off, if not for people actually looking at a message board and figuring this out. Internet sleuths pulled that one off. This Michigan thing is huge, guys. It's likely that they're going to get a bowl ban this year. I think what Tony Petitti is going to end up doing, Jim Harbaugh is going to be suspended for the rest of the season. Jim Harbaugh is likely going to get fired. I I do believe that. I've believed that since this came out, that Jim Harbaugh is not going to be allowed to sunset himself and go off to the NFL. I believe they're going to fire him with cause. I believe they're probably going to fire Jesse Minter with cause. They're probably going to fire Sharon Moore with cause.
And
They're
are these the coordinators then?
These are the coordinators. These are
Yeah.
the coordinators. These are the ones that we have on video actually listening to Connor Stallions tell them. And, you know, there's a great video yesterday from the Ohio State game where he yells, "Run right," and you see the safeties crash down into the box. That's pretty incredible that, you know, and Immaculate had a video the other day. I don't know if you can send the link, Immaculate, but
I don't have it on me right now.
right, where Jim Harbaugh is literally lifting his earphone while Connor Stallions is talking to the offensive coordinator.
Mhm.
So obviously these people knew. And the fact that he's not willing to cooperate, that says a lot. That says that I'm not willing to take. He's willing to do the death with death before dishonor. He doesn't want to put his co-conspirators. He doesn't want to testify against his co-conspirators. But like I said, I heard it from two separate sources now. Michigan is not going to stand behind Jim Harbaugh when push comes to shove. They will push him out the door. They will fire him with cause. Will they get the death penalty, Tony? Probably not. But I mean, that's how serious it is. If Michigan feels that that's a legitimate chance coming down from the NCAA, they're going to do everything they can to prevent that. You're probably going to, like I said, you're going to see some bowl bans. You're going to see some wins vacated. You're probably going to see a reduction in scholarships. You're going to see all this staff turnover. I don't know. It just keeps getting worse.
It does.
It hasn't even hit rock bottom yet. It just every day it keeps getting worse.
And just like the fact that it's like the information's so available and obvious, like you're so guilty. It's not gray area. Like this is like folks have, Purdue, they've got stuff, the NCAA's got stuff. The Big Ten's got stuff. I mean, like it's a preponderance of evidence here. And what bothers me really like as an outsider is like the fact that Michigan won't own up to it. Like how is the Michigan not really owning up to this and really, regulating themselves, but allowing all this to crash in on them? It seems like they're kind of so insulated right now and like they're trying to fight off everything. It's kind of shocking that they'd go that direction because you'd think that the penalties would be worse with them pulling this type of stunt.
Well, all we know is he is the only one that's not cooperating. We don't know. All we can speculate on is anybody else, but we know that Connor Stallions has refused to cooperate. Now, we know Tony Petitti actually met today with members of Michigan University. I believe the president, the AD, and some of the regents. So the fact that this came out after that means that Tony Petitti has probably filled them in on some things that they were in the dark about. So that might be why we're seeing this change into we're going to rush through and get this extension for Harbaugh to suddenly Connor Stallions is fired and it looks like Harbaugh is no longer the fair-haired golden boy.
What do you think about this, Immaculate?
Well, I think first things first, just because you don't hear anything, it doesn't mean nobody's working on it. No one's dealing with it. I think just the opposite. I think the fact that it is so quiet, it means they were very heavily working on it because they know we want to know. They know we want to hear from them. So if they're not talking to us, I think it actually means that they were working pretty hard behind the scenes. With this today, wasn't aware of this, but if seeing that that's true, I think this becomes a moving point. If they're doing this, if he's gone, what direction they go in right now, I tend to think that Harbaugh is probably going to end up going. There's just too much evidence out here for us to look at and say, he knew something, and you can't tell me that you're listening into this guy as he tells your coordinator something, and then immediately that coordinator is on his thing, calling
Right.
in the play, and you're listening to that, and once your coordinator starts calling in, you start talking on it too. I mean, whether you know or not how he got it, we have pretty clear evidence that you benefited from it. So, you're guilty one way or another. I don't see him staying. They are going to work to protect Michigan as a brand, and I think that's probably a big reason why Petiti is there. That's his job. They earn everyone in the conference money, and like it or not, sorry folks, it's true. But if it takes getting rid of Harbaugh, if it takes getting rid of every coordinator on there, whatever it takes to do that, they'll do it without a shadow of doubt. Don't get it twisted. I know he's a Michigan man, but they will throw every single one of them under the bus if it comes to saving the school's face, saving the program. So I think Moen's right. We'll probably see something about that come around. My inkling is that they'll wait for the Penn State game. They may want to see Penn State beat Michigan, and there may be some things done behind the scenes to kind of tie Michigan's hands behind their back for that game. I very much think they want Michigan or Penn State to do the hard work for them, and so they don't have to decide on keeping Michigan out by rule rather than by record.
Yeah. So, sorry, what's up, PS Staff? Husky Hawk here saying Stallions is protecting others. That would not be surprising. I mean, Stallions, his life was Michigan football. I mean, the guy he had like a 200 or 300 page manifesto about he was going to be the coach of Michigan. He'd give his life for Michigan football. So, yeah, he's definitely protecting others. What do you think about that?
500-page manifesto. And he was a former Marine, so I mean that's the mentality: death before dishonor. He's not going to take down the Michigan program with him. He's going to just try and remain silent. And Tony makes a great point. You're right. All Americans have the right to remain silent, but the fact he's unwilling to cooperate tends to show you that this is not a rogue. If he really wanted to do what was best for Michigan, what he would actually do is say, "Hey, this was all on me. These guys had no idea, et cetera, et cetera. It was all on me. Don't hold them accountable. It was all on me. I'll lose my job." But he didn't. He didn't cooperate. So
I would watch to see what he does next. If you want my honest opinion on him.
With Stallions, yeah.
What kind of job he gets, where he's at. I don't want to say that he will get a golden parachute for, being the ship that goes down, but it's one of those things you watch for down the road to see. No one's going to be like just immediately hiring him right out the gate. But if, a few months down, he has himself a job somewhere, he's doing something, well, maybe someone
at the Baltimore Ravens.
Someone might have been like, you do this, we do that. It's called tit for tat.
But I think that he's going to get blackballed really out of college football after all this stuff. I mean, his name is mud right now. I don't care what he's.
I don't
he
necessarily
obviously is
mean
delivering
in college
results. I mean,
football.
the guy, you got to give Stallions this. The guy was good at his job. Like, it's seriously, and especially for making his little money. I mean, if he was just making 50, 60 grand to be an analyst, the guy was dedicated. He had the goods to do it based on his experience, and he was making a difference. Look at Michigan's record, guys. Like, look at all the success. I mean, the guy is good at his job here.
Right, but that's like saying a drug dealer's good at his job. He sold the most heroin in a month. It doesn't matter. He still sold heroin. I mean, the guy broke the rules. That's why he was good at his job.
And this may not be over because where he was standing on the CMU sidelines was the exact same place as he stands for Michigan, which is right next to a coordinator. We had a picture. He was next to the coordinator while the head coach is looking at him for an answer. Got his arms open wide. The body language was pretty obvious. So that means he was next to a coordinator. Now, do we think he's just taking pictures, or do you think we were also – because he knows Michigan State signals.
He does.
Now CMU still got blown out in that game, but he could have easily been telling them what Michigan State was calling.
What do I've thought about this, guys. So with the CMU game, if that was Stallions, and by all indication, it looks like it was Stallions.
Yeah.
Was that simply a play for Michigan football? Was that just to benefit Michigan football? Or do you think that he was being compensated by Central Michigan for
a lot of those a lot of those coaches are ex-Michigan coaches, so they might have known about him.
So maybe they bring him over to Central Michigan to get some intel on Michigan State or information during that game. So maybe he's basically kind of hired out by Central Michigan to
Yeah,
do
I don't
the
necessarily
science
think it was
information.
just to get Michigan.
I'm just
State
opening up that
signals.
conversation. That's been
No.
on my mind.
Right.
No,
it was a quid
that's-
pro quo.
It
He
could
got
it
something,
could be
they got
both.
something. Right.
Could be both real easily.
He gets to sit on the sidelines and record, and he gives them intel on
I
Michigan.
mean, if he's right there next to you and you're the coordinator and you know he knows what their signals are, you're going to be like, "Don't tell me anything. You can just sit here and film." I mean, if you know he does that kind of stuff, I mean, he's got the glasses on.
He's crossed my mind before. I mean, if he's getting paid so little at Michigan and he's got major expenses that are probably not all funded by Michigan, like going and doing, I'm going to call it a consulting, like scouting consulting gig at Central Michigan or elsewhere might yield him some more funds to do this operation. That's complete speculation.
Yeah,
Complete speculation.
could
We're
be.
just talking, right? But it's just really funky, that he'd be on the sideline of Central Michigan and stuff. I just think that he was actually helping Central Michigan out during that football game.
I
It
mean,
was
the
just
head
about the
coach,
Wolverines.
McElwain, was on Michigan staff in 2018.
Yeah, receivers coach.
Mhm.
So
I mean, they're basically like the minor league team of Michigan. I mean, you send coaches down there, they get some experience,
Yeah.
move them along. You got your coaching tree, whatever.
So Tough Tony says Penn State didn't get the death penalty for what was going on there. So Michigan's not near that level. Man, I tell you what, this Penn State stuff versus this Michigan stuff, it just seems like completely different lands a little bit to me and stuff. I mean, what was going on at Penn State, the ethics were horrible at Penn State, everything about that situation and everything. I don't think what was going on at Penn State helped them on the field. I might be wrong about that if you guys if you want to correct me, but I don't see how that helped the Penn State product on the field at all. Whereas Michigan in this case was getting a competitive advantage by doing this advanced scouting. So they're actually boosting up their wins and losses and the recruiting and their prestige and everything else that goes along with winning and getting to a playoff berth. So I think on the field, this has more of an impact than anything that went on at Penn State.
Well, I will give Penn State credit. Penn State did the right thing. They stripped everything from Paterno off at campus.
Right.
Unfortunately, Ohio State hasn't done similar with their own sex scandal, and neither has Michigan. And that is very disappointing for me as an Ohio State fan, and it should be very disappointing for Michigan fans as well that they have a building called Schembechler Hall, because they had their own issues. So Penn State did it the right way, and I do give Penn State credit for at least I know initially that wasn't the case with the students rioting and all that crap, but after that they did the right thing, and they do deserve because Paterno was basically a god there, and they made the tough decision, and that must be what Michigan might have to do right now with Harbaugh, but it's something they should have done with both Schembechler and Fielding Yost. I don't want to reiterate it and get into it and all that stuff. You guys can read what Schembechler was accused of and what Fielding Yost was not accused of, but what actually was. But I just wanted to put that out there. Penn State did it the right way.
I think that's so too. I mean, they when that came out, they owned everything. They took the statue down. Like they took control of the situation, like a horrible situation and everything, which from my vantage point, Michigan hasn't done so far. They can still do it. Maybe it happens in an hour, maybe in a couple days and stuff. But if I'm Michigan, I'm doing that.
Right. And like I said, Tony Petitti met with them today. Connor Stallions is fired. So I think they might be in the dark as well. They may not have a full idea of what's going on. And Tony Petitti's been talking with the NCAA. He may have come in there today and said, hey, look, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And they're going, okay, we were wrong. Now we have to take action. Connor Stallions is fired. Is that the last shoe to drop or the first shoe to drop?
I would have to imagine that's got to be the first shoe to drop.
I would have to
Right?
agree.
It has to be. Like, no matter how you shake this thing. I mean, Michigan still, like as Devil Frog saying right here on the field versus off the field, this is on the field stuff. This is advantages on the field. And
Right.
when you're talking about that, it's just a completely different world. And everybody knew this. Like we talked last week and stuff, Harbaugh, he knew all about this. Like I mean, seriously, how could he not know who was right next to him on the sideline with, that sheet of paper? Like he knew everything about this operation. He has to. It makes no sense not to. The guy's too good not to know what's going on the sideline,
Right.
with his analyst staff and everything. So, what are your thoughts, though, Immaculate, about really this situation versus, I guess, what happened at Penn State many years ago with Joe Pa?
Well, all due respect, we had nitwit in the crowd. I don't want it to come off wrong, but the Penn State situation was worse.
Yeah.
We're talking two very different comparisons. Now, Penn State did deal with that very seriously. So, credit where credit is due. But do I think this has to be that? No. I think coaches need to be nailed. I think as much as possible, it's not going to be possible to have no effect, but as little as possible effect on the student players as far as what's going on. I actually still think they're a good team, and that's why I kind of hope that they're losing to Penn State, so that way, they probably are going to get suspended from postseason play this year, just for the advantage. I mean, you can't really allow them to go into the postseason if this is true. But I just don't want to see them get to the point where they make their way into the playoffs and you kind of snatch that away. So hopefully they have a way to deal with that. But I definitely think the coaches are going to get nailed. I think every single – this could go all the way through. I don't know who they bring. The big problem going forward is they're going to have to figure out someone to come in here and put together a staff on short notice. How are you going to keep half this team from not transferring out? How many teams are going to be hungry for these guys? These are some good players.
Right. And I just want to put out here, we're not making this as a direct comparison. What happened at Penn State is so far above and beyond cheating at a football game. That is absolutely terrible what happened. Yeah. It's absolutely terrible what happened at Michigan under Bo Schembechler. Absolutely terrible what happened at Ohio State with Dr. Richard Strauss. We're not even comparing them as if they were equals, people. I see people in the we're not saying that. That is not what we're saying. We're just saying that Penn State hadn't, they're not equals.
It's a fair conversation to have, though, because the question does come up, why didn't Penn State get the death penalty? And why are folks even saying that around Michigan? So I mean, we have to talk about that, right?
Right.
Yeah. But it doesn't even come close, when one really is in different realms completely and everything. The Penn States have so much worse.
Yes.
But when we're looking at on the field stuff, I'm curious about this. So do you guys, as of right now, and I'm curious to out there what you guys think about this. Do you think that Michigan is going to be in the college football playoff this season?
No.
So you guys are both
one way or another.
I'm a no on that too. I want to hear from everybody else. I want to hear from PSU Nitwit. I want to hear from Jeff Fuller. I want to get Tough Tony, everybody. Husky Hawk, do you guys think that Michigan is going to be a college football playoff team this year? And I'm talking not just from a loss. I'm talking from the CFP bringing them into the playoff, given what's going on right now. Because I think the CFP is going to have to make the decision, right?
I think that they'll wait to make that decision until at least after the Penn State game, because it becomes so much easier to announce that you're suspending them from postseason play if it doesn't mean you're suspending them from the CFP and you're just suspending them from bowl games. Because they don't have the greatest schedule right now. If they lose to Penn State, the committee can very easily say this has nothing to do with the scandal. This is just they had a weak schedule, and then when they finally had a good game, they lost. Boom, you're dropped out. If you drop out of that top 6, they are not getting back in, because that's how they work it. They work it in the sets of 6, and once you drop out of that top 6, you're basically they're going to be out. Even if they beat Ohio State, I don't think the committee will put them back up in that top 6.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And it looks like most of the folks out there, everybody's saying the same thing. Tough Tony's no postseason, no Big Ten championships, no bowl. Looks like we got Mike saying I think the Big Ten has to deny Michigan in the Big Ten championship game for sure. Like that has to happen from the Big Ten vantage point. You have to make that decision, even if the CFP votes Michigan in. You have to do it for stability and control. Like a lot of folks watch peek around the corner. Greg Fluger has really mentioned this well. That really just to maintain the integrity of the game and to prevent cheating from the future, you have to drop the hammer on this thing. Because if you don't drop the hammer, then everybody's saying in the Big Ten Conference, this is going to be okay. I'm just going to slap on the risk. It's worth it. Like if Michigan doesn't get a bowl ban, maybe a multi-year bowl ban, this was all worth it for them. They got a CFP berth, guys. They're like sitting at top 4 team in the nation right now. They have benefited greatly from this. And that needs to change. That needs to change. And they have to have privileges taken away and the opportunities taken away too, as painful that is.
I think the fact that guy got fired without cooperating, that's the thing that sets us forward. And I think that says is there's probably a whole lot more there. And that guy is protecting people. He's not just getting fired. He's protecting people. And like it or not, when you protect people, they end up doing you favors later. So I think that this coaching staff needs to get taken down because I think that there is a very real connection there. And they're probably not going to have the evidence for it, but TD won't need it. In the conference rules, they can rule on this, I do believe, and they can penalize Michigan itself for this.
Here's another thought. Okay, so if Michigan indeed does not go to the CFP, what does that opens up an opportunity for a different conference, perhaps another Big Ten team to get into the CFP, because Michigan was looking like a shoo-in for the CFP. Who benefits most? What conference benefits most from Michigan potentially getting a CFP bowl ban?
The Big 12.
The Big 12, yeah? You think like an Oklahoma or Texas?
A one-loss Oklahoma would be would benefit the most, assuming that they can win out and win the Big 12 championship.
What do you think?
Yeah, it could be that, them or the Pac. I still think Texas is in the running for this.
Yeah.
If Texas comes back and wins their conference championship against Oklahoma after winning out till then, I think that the committee there is going to be very favorable towards them, as we saw with their very first ranking. They're only one spot out of that, and if one school drops out, Texas is the one that likely gets put back up there.
Do you think it's going to boost the Pac-12 team that's possibly left out, like an Oregon or Washington that might be on the outside?
Really depends upon how that interplay works. I mean, the Pac could have one team stand out, but it could cannibalize itself again.
Right.
Hate to say it.
Whoever wins that matchup, whatever happens in Washington and Oregon,
I think they're in.
If there's a rematch, whoever wins that game is likely in.
As long as they win up till that point.
Right.
Yeah.
As long as they win up to that point, which they should. Oregon at least should.
Washington's got some tough ones. I mean,
Washington
USC,
has some tough ones.
Oregon
Seriously.
State.
Yeah, you've got the Washington schedule up there. We should talk about the Washington schedule. I'm curious about that. Just the USC, Oregon State, and Utah. 3 of the last 4 weeks. So USC this week, like we all predicted big wins and everything, but can the Huskies turn it around and beat Utah at home following this probably emotional week, big time game this weekend and everything? Do you think that they're going to have the juice to follow that up, or are they going to lay a stinker out there versus the Utes? What do you think, Moan?
I don't think so. I think Washington is probably going to go undefeated to the title game. At that point, I think Oregon lost that game more than Washington won that game earlier this year. Coach Dan Lanning got way too aggressive. It was stupidly aggressive. He should have taken points on multiple occasions. Chose not to do it. I'm sorry, Washington fans, but I think Oregon is a better team than Washington. So I think Washington wins out to the title game. I think Oregon beats them. Oregon makes it into the CFP as a one-loss Pac-12 champion.
The Pac-12 is a weird conference. You guys know that. Like, it just seems
right.
to me.
And they could. You're right. Oregon could lose to Oregon State, and Washington could lose to Washington State, and it could cannibalize itself. You're absolutely right. That's absolutely could happen.
It just seems like it's going to get weird in the Pac-12 land and everything. It seems like another year if Washington loses over the next couple weeks, I could see the Pac-12 get left out again of the CFP. I mean, I guess if Michigan indeed gets banned, that's gonna help a lot for a potential berth and everything. But it gets funky. If anyone can survive with just one loss in the Pac-12, that's worthy of a playoff berth, I think.
Right. You're going to have to only have one loss.
That's right.
If you're a 2-loss Pac-12, somebody in the SEC is going to jump over you. That's just the bias of the CFP. A 1-loss, let's say Alabama has 1 loss going in to play Georgia in the title game. Alabama wins. Alabama and Georgia are both now 1-loss teams. Do they leave Georgia out?
No.
They take them both. So
No.
that's what I'm saying. You have to have a 1-loss only team within the confines of being the Pac-12 champion.
I don't know if Georgia necessarily gets in. If they get a loss in the championship game, and if other teams look better, I think they might get left out. No one's been like super impressed with them all year. I mean, they've kind of been kept up there because of previous years, but once you're in the CFP committee room, I don't know if they get in if they lose to LSU or Alabama. Just because of where LSU and Alabama are, I think they could drop Georgia out of the top 4. Just my thoughts on that. I think the big one to think about is if Penn State beats Michigan here in next week, where does that bump them up to? Considering where Michigan is right now, Penn State's at what, 11? Could that bump them up into that top 6, or do they jump over Texas?
You would have to imagine so, because I mean their only loss would be to the number 1 Ohio State Buckeyes. But
and then they're free and clear to the end. If Penn State
Mhm.
gets that win, they could just run out, go into the Big Ten championship, because I think Ohio State's going to beat Michigan. I don't think Michigan's ready to play without these signals, number 1. And number 2, I think Ohio State could beat them straight up.
Okay, so let's put it this way. Let's do some figuring out here. Michigan gets banned from the postseason.
Yeah.
Ohio State loses to them in the game. Ohio State is the 1-loss Big Ten champion.
Okay.
Alabama beats Georgia. Alabama is the 1-loss SEC champion, with Georgia being 1 loss as well. Oklahoma beats Texas in the Big 12 championship. 1 loss Oklahoma as the Big 12 champion. Oregon beats Washington in the Pac-12 conference championship game. 1 loss Pac-12 champion. And Florida State wins out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
You got 5.
mayhem. That is absolute mayhem right there.
Mhm.
Yeah, but if Florida State wins out, they're in. It's
Right,
gonna
Florida
cause-
State's in. We'll
Yeah,
say Florida State's in. Because I think Florida State will win out. I think the ACC is the weakest conference.
Georgia might get bumped in that type of circumstance. They don't win the SEC. They've had a weaker schedule this year, as we all know. I think
Right.
it's hard to vote out the 2-time defending champion with 1 loss. But really, it might just shake out that way, especially with the Oregon's resume and how good Oregon's looked, right? And like a strong Pac-12. So that's a nightmare scenario for the committee.
Right. But some conference is going to get left out in that scenario. What conference gets left
Could
out?
be the Big Ten. If Penn State
Think it'd
beats
be the Big
Michigan
Ten?
and then Michigan beats Ohio State, do I think that could possibly drop Ohio State out of the top 5? Yes, possibly.
Yes, but you got to keep in mind Ohio State has a record where they played Notre Dame on the road and won.
Okay, but then it also comes down to what does Notre Dame do the rest of the year? Do they lose this week against Clemson?
Well,
how does that do
that's
it?
True.
I mean, there's a lot to go into this that could see Ohio State possibly jump out. That's why I say I think everyone is kind of hoping that Penn State and Ohio State do the heavy lifting for everybody.
Right.
That Penn State beats Michigan next week, and then Ohio State beats Michigan in the final week, and then Ohio State and Penn State go against each other, and whoever wins that one probably then goes forward.
Yeah, I just like the idea of just total chaos in the last year of the 14th playoff.
But I'll say this for Washington real quick, and then I know you're going to take it over. Remember, if this is true about them having sick players for the past 2 weeks, that would explain the downplay a lot. That would explain a whole lot. And I think it comes right back to then, okay, we thought that Oregon maybe had become the better team, But if Washington's been playing the past 2 weeks sick, then that comes right back down to, well, Washington's already won one. So I could see if Washington is back on gear this week. If we see Washington again, I'm going right back to Washington being the top team in that conference. And Oregon is just that much below them. Because I do believe Penix is better than Nix. It's just.
Oh, yeah, he's definitely a better passer. I mean, Nix is he's just a winner. He's a star. I didn't have a lot of, I was impressed by stats, but personally, I was never overly impressed by Bo Nix. I would never give him like much kudos, but I watched him live last week do what he did to the Utes, and I've got complete respect for the guy.
He's very good.
First drive of the game, when the crowd was nuts and everything, and he went down with so much poise and just totally just put the freaking wood to the Utes. Dude, what a stud. Like,
he's a first rounder.
Man, he really is. Like, he's got that dual threat ability. Like, I mean, Penix has that a little bit, but with his injury history, he doesn't necessarily take that as much. Bo Nix is just a playmaker, man. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, as college quarterbacks, I'm 50-50. It's pro quarterback. I mean, Penix is a no-brainer, I think.
Right. He's my number one pick. And of course, I'm not a pro at doing that or anything like that, but I'm looking at it going, his history, what he's been on both a team there where he had to fight to do what he did, and he had good numbers at Indiana. And then come in with a great team and to immediately lead them on. And I think that he's the best quarterback in college football. Just my opinion.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so
I think if Oregon wins the Pac, I think Bo Nix is the Heisman Trophy winner.
Yeah, you kind of got to give it to them. If they come back and beat Washington and then they go forward, I mean, you kind of got to give it to the guy. Winning is number one.
Isn't that amazing? Do you guys remember a couple of years back when Bo Nix got basically booted out of Auburn?
Yeah.
Like, what a redemption story for that guy. Like, kudos to that guy for really, like, making the changing his game and being that 5-star. Because he's a 5-star blue chipper at high school that, like, you really thought. But he's become a player that nobody anticipated ever seeing. So,
Can we
for him.
make the tough shot here? Does it also mean that maybe the Pac doesn't quite have as good a defenses as some other conferences? Because look at all the quarterbacks who transferred over there. I mean, it's not to say that you don't have defenses, but you're known for your offenses. And you got, was it 5, 6 transfer quarterbacks over there that are all just big studs? Like, everyone came over there, and I don't know if any of those are actually homegrown quarterbacks. Like, no, you guys did with Utah. So you're
Rising's a Texas. No, he's a.
I know, but he was your guy. I meant like he was your guy. He didn't transfer in.
No, he transferred in. Rising did from the University of Texas.
But how many years was he the starter there, though?
Oh, he never started there. He lost in the.
He only started for Utah. Like, he transferred because he couldn't play. I mean, the other guys were playing at places. They just transferred up, so to speak, if you could say that.
I think that here's my view of the Pac-12. I think the Pac-12 isn't quite as good as we thought it was. I think there's some. I think Oregon might be like a elite caliber team, but there's just a lot of good mid-range, above average teams that aren't necessarily not a lot of top 10 teams really in the Pac-12, and that's kind of what we've seen for a long time. I think that if you would look at ESPN, FPI, and stuff to look at the quality of the conference, that kind of snuff that out too. And I know that there's a lot of stuff that's being said about the SEC being really down. The SEC always has a bunch of talent. I mean, the talent composites over there are crazy. So I think the SEC, if you faced them off versus the Pac-12 this year, I think you'd probably get a lot of SEC wins still, despite what happened, really early in the year because Utah beat Florida and stuff. But I don't know. It just hasn't really turned out to be the season that a lot of Pac-12 fans had wanted. And in the mid-tier and stuff, there's been a lot of losses. I think a lot more losses are about to come.
Yeah, sometimes injuries do that to you, and you don't get the season that you wanted, or it just doesn't quite play out right. I still think that it maybe is the best overall conference in the country, but it's that way because of its offenses, and that's what people love to see. It's what people want to see.
Okay, I got to ask you guys this question, okay, because I've had so many debates about this. In Immaculate, I've talked about this before. I want to hear your rationale for this again. So I've heard from so many Big 12 fans, and a lot of you out there, I know you're Big 12 fans and everything. We're all Big 12 fans now. The Utes are the Big 12, but there's this sentiment that equality is a good thing, and not having an elite team in the conference is a good thing because anybody could win it in any given year. And that's been the Pac's history for the last 7 years, is this equality and everything. USC took a step back. Utah has some good seasons. Oregon's have some good seasons, but the Pac couldn't get a big time media deal for a lot of reasons, including like viewership and everything with this.
Yep.
So does it actually help your viewership by having an elite team in your conference? Does it actually boost your conference's value rather than having a bunch of kind of mid to above average teams like the new Big 12 might become, and a lot of Big 12 fans think is a good thing?
Mhm.
What are your thoughts on that?
I think the difference is 4 teams versus 12 teams. I think
really
the difference
playoff.
in the playoff is where it is. I think you're right. In a previous years with 4 teams, that might hurt the Big 12, but with going forward with where we're going, I think it's less of a pain. And it's call it unfortunate, call it bad timing, call it well timed. I don't know, but it changes the game play for that, because now you can still get 2 to 3 teams in, even if they've got a couple losses against each other, as long as, like, look at right now, the Big 12 is just popping up out of nowhere and has 5 teams in the top 25. Could be the same way, and you could end up with 2 to 3 teams in, even if you're not in, say, the top 6 where you need to be now. You just got to get them in, say, the top 10. You're going to get 1 champion in, and then 1, maybe 2 more teams, and you've got 2 to 3 teams in the 12-team playoff. So, yeah, I don't think it's going to hurt as much in the future as it has in the past.
What about like the idea of the brand, right? Like we've talked about the idea, the notion of like the look, feel of a brand. Do you think that having an elite team or 2 helps the quality, like the view from an outsider looking in your conference, to say that it's a better brand of football versus having a bunch of teams that beat each other every week and that aren't, having undefeated seasons per se and everything? So do you think that it matters at all to the brand of the conference?
I don't know. Moen's the elite brand follower. Maybe he could
It
tell us what he thinks on that.
absolutely matters to the casual person walking by.
I agree.
They may not know every team in the Big Ten, but they know Ohio State, they know Michigan, they know Penn State, they know USC, they know Nebraska. For casual people, it matters. For more hardcore fans, I think for hardcore fans, they're going to want more parity.
Mm-hmm.
They want to see that. I want to see that. I want to watch the Big 12. I have no idea who's going to win the Big 12 next year. I don't. And that's, to me, a good thing. That's exciting.
Yeah.
I want to see how it all plays out. Utah, Cam Rising's coming back. Colorado, is Coach Prime going to get him even better in his second year?
Mm-hmm.
Kansas State, if Ferencz is staying at Iowa, Kleeman's staying at Kansas State. So is Kansas State going to keep developing that program? Kansas, Lance Leipold at Kansas, look what he's done. I think that's exciting as a hardcore fan. As a casual fan, probably not. Casual fans want the big brands.
Yeah.
I've never been that big on the Big 12, and I'm born and raised in Iowa. I was more of an Iowa fan, Big 10 fan. I'm more interested in the Big 12 now than I have ever been in a Texas and Oklahoma-led Big 12. I mean, it's, nothing against them.
Why is that, though? If you guys are both like not into that, like what makes the new Big 12 compelling versus the old Big 12?
It's the unknown. It's like, I watch the Big 12, I'm like, I don't need to even follow the Big 12. It's going to be one of those 2 teams, and it's not always the case. There's plenty of cases of like Oklahoma State, Iowa State, Kansas State, TCU, these teams overcoming, but yet the perception that I always had was, it's Texas and Oklahoma's to lose. That's just not the case anymore. And now that I'm living here in Scottsdale with ASU, I kind of want to see how well they doing it, because I've felt like in the Pac, they've not been able to quite get past some of those bigger brands. So now it's kind of a new dawn for them. I think Utah, as much as maybe this isn't what you wanted, I think this could be great for Utah. I think you could become that power team if, you're going to have to win and then win and then win.
Mm-hmm.
But something like that could happen. I don't know. I just think it'll be fun to watch and see, because now we're going into an A4, A3, whatever, where each conference is going to be its own model. And before we had 5 conferences that were all following the same model in different regions of the country. And that made winners and losers. But if every conference is now following a different model, there's actually no winner and loser because it's almost like a different product that each one of them is presenting and presenting to the networks. So I think it's great. Will it take off? Will it be a big deal, or will it just be, for hardcore fans? I don't know, but I think it's a good shot to take.
Gotcha. Hey, let's get to a comment here from Casting for Chrome. Did we discuss the other coaches calling for penalties now? Other coaches calling for penalties.
He's talking about Big Ten coaches calling for
They
Michigan
to
to
the
be
commissioner.
penalized.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's just like the Purdue situation.
Did you?
Yeah.
And you saw Rule out of Nebraska. His comments were a little more veiled, but it was like, yeah, well, we like to teach our kids about honesty and integrity, and it's like, ooh,
I mean, yeah.
it was a glove
If I'm
punch.
a Big
But it
Ten
was a
coach,
punch.
then I'm calling for penalties too. I mean, duh, right? I mean, that just benefits your program and everything. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, like
That's
the ethics of it.
the day after that, the ADs met with commissioner, and they supposedly all gave him support to do things. So, and that basically is the nod from regents and from presidents to do what you got to do. So, I think what everyone's been waiting for is coming. It's coming.
Right. Either Michigan's going to do the right thing and clean house, or Tony Petitti's going to clean house. I think that was probably the message he delivered today. He said, hey, here's the evidence we have. You're going to do something, or I'm going to do something. And he would rather they do the right thing. That's what he would probably prefer. I think that's probably going to happen. I think they're going to get rid of Harbaugh. They're going to clean house. They're going to take a ban, or they're going to self-impose. And then you're going to have to wait to hear from the NCAA what the NCAA decides to do.
Oh, the NCAA doesn't have any teeth. You're gonna have to
Yeah.
come up the smackdown here as the Big Ten. This is like such a big monumental moment too, where the conferences are kind of taking control from the NCAA. Does this feel like a pivotal moment too, like in the sport of college football, if the Big Ten decides to basically govern, right? Like
Right.
the NCAA should. Like I think that this is if that indeed happens, then this is a big shift away from the NCAA. Like we all knew it was coming, but this is like the first time we see it.
Yeah, it definitely is.
I think so. I like to hope so. Me personally, my views on where they're going and what the conferences are doing to the NCAA, I just kind of want to see it happen. Not that I'm a fan of it happening. It's just like, okay, let's just get it done. You guys have been building for this since 2014. It'd be nice to get to that next era and just be there.
So we got a comment from BR7062. What's up, BR? How you doing, Blaine? So, hey, all go Pokes, beat OU. I see that we got Jason too in the house. What's up, Jason? So we got OSU and OU folks in the house here. So let's give a little bit more love to this game, if you guys wouldn't mind. Just this.
I'm excited for it.
Seriously, like Bedlam. Even living in Salt Lake City and stuff, Bedlam's just been one of those dynamic matchups, like those few matchups around the nation you just have to watch. Always weird games, always electricity and stuff, especially like, I don't know, something happens in Stillwater, like games in Stillwater can get kind of funky. And like being like a longtime K-State fan, K-State, when they'd go to Stillwater, man, it was just so freaking hard to win in Stillwater, Oklahoma. And I know that this game is going to be one of the most dynamic, electric games that they've had there for a long, long time. So I think it's going to be a close one. We gave our predictions before. Why don't we just state those again? Why don't you speak to that game a little bit?
Oklahoma State. Oh, Jason's still with us. Sorry, man. I picked Oklahoma State, and actually we all did. And if you've watched any games there, that may be the toughest place to go in and play football, especially if you're Oklahoma. The stands, the sidelines, there's no room. I mean, you're standing basically with your backs against the wall, and you got the students behind you, and they've got their beat sticks and they're beating on the wall, and it's that is a rough place to go play, especially when that home crowd really wants to see you get beat. And I don't know if there's going to ever be a louder crowd in that stadium than there is for this game. This Bedlam, might mean more to them than any other previously. Now, I could be
Everything.
wrong. I'm no expert,
No.
but one would think that this split causes, a whole lot of bad feelings, and that could be one rowdy ass crowd. It's going to be pretty wild.
Well, you're right. We all picked Oklahoma State. I picked Oklahoma State because of the points, because I think Oklahoma is going to win.
But the cream will rise to the top. Oh, yeah.
Oklahoma State wins with a late field goal.
Oh man, that's gonna stab the hearts, man, of the Pokes. If the Oklahoma Sooners,
I just think Oklahoma's more talented. I understand the animosity. I understand the hatred. I understand the rivalry. Rivalry games, anything can happen, but I just think Oklahoma has too much talent for Oklahoma State to overcome it.
What if that running back gets 200 yards?
Again, the cream always rises to the top. Did you not hear Mr. Savage?
That would
Just
mean
tell
he
you
is
that.
the cream. That's what I'm saying. Like, he rose.
I'm just saying
to the
there's
top.
way too much talent on Oklahoma's side. I think they won by a late field goal.
yeah, I don't see it playing out like that. I just think this game's going to get a little funky. It's going to get weird. There's going to be turnovers. There's going to be a lot of electricity. There's going to be penalties. Like, it's just going to be one of those madhouse games that's close the whole time. But I just see Oklahoma State just getting the win, getting redemption over Oklahoma. And all you fans out there, like, I respect your program, but this is the last bedlam for a team that you're leaving to go to the SEC for. It's at Oklahoma State. They've been waiting a long time for this one, like the Poke fans. And so it just seems like one of those games, like in the pros, if this is the NFL, I'm probably just picking Oklahoma based on just like the talent level and stuff. But with the emotion of college football, which we love and everything, I just see this being too much of an emotional environment for the Pokes not to get their W in this one.
We saw what happened with Oklahoma's quarterback in Kansas. That crowd got to him. He made bad decisions, cost him the game. And because they're such a good team, they kept it close, but he made bad decisions, cost him the game. I am not necessarily trusting him, if he had problems in Kansas, to not have problems at Stillwater. So I don't know about them coming back. Mullen might be right, because that Oklahoma team is, in my opinion, a better team. But in this game, I think Oklahoma State has some advantages that will not be overcome.
Yeah, and here Jeff makes a good point here. Ollie Gordon is the cream, the milk, and the butter, and the cheese, man. Yeah,
He might be sitting there at that Heisman Trophy ceremony as well. I don't think he'll get it, but he could be invited there. If they get this win, and it's a big one, I don't see why not.
Well, listen, I want to disagree with you on one point here.
Okay.
He did make some bad decisions in that Kansas game, but not nearly as bad as the coach did. They were doing great running between the tackles, and they stopped doing that, and that's what cost Oklahoma the game. I don't understand why coaches do this all the time with jet sweeps. If you're running up the middle, fine. Keep running up the middle, fine.
So same question goes in. If they had, if they had these problems at Kansas, and they're
Right.
in Stillwater and the crowd's going nuts, and it's right behind them, and these guys are trying to. I think either way it goes, whoever was at fault for it. I think if they have problems in Kansas, they're going to have problems in Stillwater.
We'll see. But I tend to trust Mr. Savage. And he tells me the cream always rises to the top. Columbus born Randy Savage, by the way.
Yeah, that's good stuff. So Cleveland Rock says if football programs would operate like Coach Bill Snyder of K-State, legendary coach for the Cats, ran a really clean program there, then we wouldn't have any of these types of scandals. Snyder is truly the greatest of all time. Seriously, he's one of the best coaches of all time. To do what he did, turning around K-State from one of the worst programs in the nation in the late 80s to what happened in the 90s. 1998, K-State got to be number one in the country. They had a chance of getting to the national championship. Dat Gwynn, the 1998 national championship, gosh dang it, those Texas A&M Aggies beat the Cats, and that really was the chance and stuff. But Snyder brought the team almost to the pinnacle there, so you got to give him kudos for winning at a place like K-State. And like, it makes me think after saying all that, like, I'm curious about this. Like, does this Michigan team, do they get to the college football playoff without the cheating last year? No one's really talked about that, but they've got a lot of talent. But are they good enough to get to the playoff without pulling all like the scandal and the advanced scouting and everything, or did that boon them to the playoff last year?
We'll never know. We'll never know. That's the thing.
Have you
Michigan's
guys
a
looked at
great
the
team.
schedule? Have you looked at like, how are they? Were they winning a lot of games by 3 points? We need to. Yeah, the schedule.
Well, I know that they're covering the spread. They've significantly increased their ability to cover the spread, which is why some people had the rumor that Vegas was tipping people off because there was a lot of action on Michigan, and Michigan was going above and beyond covering what the average spread would be for that team.
If you look at when Michigan started doing this, allegedly, and when their record jumped from being, middle of the crowd to double-digit wins, it overlaps. Do I think initially that they needed it? I think that's likely. Do I think that they need it now? Nope. It's just a crutch that that they have grown used to, and I think that's what's going to end up costing them. I think if they weren't doing this, I think they could probably win out. They do have enough talent. Their offensive line is amazing. They've got two running backs that could be starting running backs on any other team. Why that other guy is still there, that just shows some love for the team, and that's cool. They've got a great quarterback. They've got great skill people.
Yeah.
But it's a crutch, and I think that's going to hurt them because now that crutch just got yanked out from under their arm. So.
Right. So we got a super chat. Hey, thanks, Tough Tony here. Thanks for the super chat. So, panel, is there any difference between Connor Stalions resigning over being fired? Michigan spokesman now saying he resigned.
There absolutely is.
Michigan spokesman now saying that Connor Stalions resigned rather than firing Connor Stalions. Whoa. Holy smokes. What do you think?
They probably took him in an office and said, you're either resigning or getting fired. That's not an uncommon thing within the corporate world to give people that option.
Do you how do you even have that conversation at this point? Like with the PR optics though? How can you not fire the guy? How can you let him even resign given all this stuff?
It removes the possibility of a wrongful termination suit. Like if he's covering someone's ass and it's actually others who were like, based on it, it's just a little bit extra insurance that he doesn't come back around for a wrongful termination suit. If he resigns, he resigns. That's it. It's over. So that's part of his protection thing is he was willing to even resign so that way they know that he's not going to come back on them later.
Yeah, that just, to me, it seems a little fishy.
I guarantee you they had a piece of paper waiting for him and slid it across the table with a pen.
Like, even,
but that's why I say he might have a
understand
golden parachute as well because of that.
So Michigan to protect himself legally, maybe like let him resign or force the resignation. But like I'm telling you guys, from a PR optics standpoint, like we're talking about the Michigan program that's like acting like a child that doesn't want to be disciplined, like kind of having some tantrums and stuff and fighting everything up. Although they're guilty, 100% guilty and stuff. So this is just bad optics again.
Sure,
like
but
letting
it already is. It already is terrible optics. But this is like a real protection. You know what I mean? Like there's PR. And that's bad. And over time, that goes away. But this is like a real protection. And is, whatever someone might think about it, that does take priority. Like a very real protection versus, we're going to look bad for it, but hey, we're protected.
Here we go. We got another super chat in the house. So we've got from Opie. What's up, Opie? Thanks for the super chat. Shh, don't tell Bomber. I'm not really sure exactly what that one's about, Opie.
He doesn't want you telling Bomber that he gave you guys a super chat.
Oh, serious? Thank you, Opie. Yes.
Get a Ric Flair woo out of that. You want a little more?
Yeah, so let's get a little bit more. Let's get to some claps for the super chats and Tough Tony and Opie.
Well, I gave him a woo, but we'll give him a.
Nice. Hey, Opie. Oh, smokes. Opie, don't worry. I'm treating Bomber. I'm taking him to the game tomorrow and stuff. So we'll make sure that he's taken care of. See, Bomber had to leave early also because he's feeling a little under the weather and stuff. We're going to be going to the Utah ASU game tomorrow. And I'm taking him to the dreaded Pig Bus. Everyone out there, the Pig Bus has a real bad reputation out there on Twitter, Xland, and everything. But guys, when you go to Pig Bus, any Big 12 fans out there, anyone traveling to Utah, you're always welcome at that place. It's a great tailgate spot. No one's rude to you. They're all cool and stuff. So I'm going to bring them there for that experience. So should be fun times tomorrow morning. But hey, so anything else on your guys' mind that you want to bring up?
Yeah, I have some more Michigan stuff if you want it.
Yeah, well, definitely.
Right across the wire. If you know who Chris Ballas is, if anybody's familiar with him, he's a Michigan insider. The Michigan administration met with the Big Ten Friday, prepared to fight for head coach Jim Harbaugh and his staff, having taken him at his word that he had no knowledge of analyst Connor Stalions' actions involving illegal on-site scouting leading to sign stealing. They were even moving forward on a contract extension for the coach that would have made him the highest paid in the conference. Sources tell us, now this is Chris Ballas' sources, a Michigan guy. Sources tell us the Big Ten presented Michigan with overwhelming evidence of a plot so extensive that, in the words of one at the meeting, someone should have known. The UM administration met for some time to discuss the options going forward. As of now, Harbaugh is expected to coach against Purdue tomorrow, but more evidence has continued to mount that would, at the very least, put the extension in doubt.
I would hope I don't know how you could extend Harbaugh. That'd be a horrible decision, I think.
But that's Michigan folks that are turning around. They've been saying like this is a guarantee. So if they're going to that point, that means it's probably even worse than that.
What's up, Numbskull? Thank you for the super chat here. Numbskull says nothing serious will happen to the University of Michigan. Elites don't get punished. So this you have to step in here if you're the Big Ten. I just don't think that we're in a situation where nothing can happen. There can't be a slap on the wrist. We're too deep. There's too many people chatting about it. The integrity of the sport is at in question. Just the competitiveness on the field with like the cheating stuff. We're talking about a team that's they're number 2, 3 in the new CF people, Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking about number 3 in the nation here. Made the playoffs last year. Too much is at stake. And I'll tell you what, if I'm Alabama, and I think Alabama ended up 5th last year, right outside the playoffs, I am livid, guys. If I got left out of the playoffs for Michigan after this stuff came out, I am so ticked off. They totally got the screw house here. So too much stuff, too much at stake, too much money at stake now with the playoff. Something's going to have to give here.
I agree. I mean, if Wolverine insiders are posting that stuff on their message boards,
they're getting them ready.
Numbskull so bad. Numbskull says elites don't pay the SMU price. I don't think anyone pays the SMU price, but SMU Numbskull.
You can count on Numbskull to come in and just
seriously.
Well, it's funny now. What are we talking about? Which SMU price are we talking about? The price where they bought themselves into the Power Five?
He's talking the death penalty price.
Exactly. But I mean, that's where we're at now. We have to discuss which SMU price it is.
It's whatever it is. They're going to be funding something. All right, Bowen, is there anything else on your mind tonight?
No, that was pretty much it. I'm excited for tomorrow's slate of games. We were talking earlier about being excited for the Big 12 next year. Hey, I'm excited for the SEC and the Big 10 as well. How are these new schools going to integrate in there, and how are they going to perform? I'm excited to see how Oregon, Washington, USC, UCLA do next year in the Big Ten, how this all works out. Excited to see if Oklahoma and Texas can maintain their level, joining the SEC from the Big 12. So I'm excited for next year's football season. That's one thing realignment has done. It has reinvigorated, added some new mystery and some kind of intrigue. Michigan's added some intrigue now. Nobody's talking about realignment. Congratulations, Michigan. You've knocked realignment off there. Whether that was intentional or not.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh, guys, I saw somewhere someone said that Michigan should get kicked out of the Big Ten. And I was like, yeah, right. There's no chance of that happen.
Well, somebody was saying Michigan should leave the Big Ten and sue them. Yeah, that's what Michigan's going to do.
No one in the Big Ten's asking for that, I guarantee.
Michigan they can team up with Florida State as independents or something, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking at next year with the SEC. I'm curious in how Texas and Oklahoma are going to do, like from like a high level perspective. I think that really Oklahoma, like I think Texas really it's going to get pretty stabilized in the SEC. But Oklahoma really could be an elite SEC team or an above average one. I'm really curious about how that turns out for the Sooners. It could go either way, but I mean, Oklahoma had a really good thing, running a lot of championships in the Big 12, and so that's a little bit higher risk than most realignment decisions and stuff. I understand the finances, but just based on the success on the field and what might or might not be there, big risk for the Sooners and stuff. But that's what I'm paying attention to next year. How do the Sooners do in the SEC?
Sarkisian knows the SEC, so
Yeah.
I'm expecting Texas to actually come in there a little bit better prepared. When I see that offensive line he's put together, that's in preparation for the SEC. I think that they're both at that top level. I think they're LSU level. Right now, Alabama seems to have come down to their level.
Yeah.
The only team program that I say is above them right now in terms of prestige and capabilities is Georgia. That's the only one, because overall, I think the SEC has taken a step downward for whatever reason. I don't know. I think maybe some players that normally they keep just crops of players sitting around there. They get them to sign and then they're stuck. I think the transfer portal's actually pulled players out of the SEC to go to the other areas of the country. So I think it's I think Texas and Oklahoma will be just fine.
Yeah.
And, in terms of what I'm
I
watching,
agree.
it's the Iowa game. We're going to turn Wrigley Field into a home Iowa game. Nothing but black and yellow in Wrigley Field. It's going to be kind of cool to see.
That's this weekend, yeah.
It's this weekend. They
Awesome.
played Northwestern at Wrigley Field. Cautiously optimistic that whatever is going on with the offense, that maybe Brian Ferentz had lost the offense. It looked that way. And that maybe with him being gone, maybe I hate to say that because he's gone, they're going to feel so much better and be happier, but it might be the case. So I'm cautiously hopeful for some points this weekend.
Very good. All right, we're going to wind this one down, guys. And I thank you all for out there. We had over 50 folks in the house tonight. Stuff. Too many comments to watch and stuff. So thanks for being patient. While Bomber was out today, we're going to try to put the clothes on, so we'll see how this goes. But you guys have a good one, and go Utes.